Right, just had this £25 common on a little homemade pop-up inside the solid bag. We'll have a look at the solid bag tactics and how I tie the bags, but proof's in the pudding. In this video, we're just going to have a look at my rig and my lead arrangements for mesh bags and solid bags, and how I tie the mesh bag up, how I attach it to the rig, and likewise with the solid bag, how I tie that up, encapsulating the rig and the lead within the bag. Both methods are extremely effective and they can be used in loads of different situations. PVA does melt once it's in the water. It's a great way of just getting that extra bit of attraction, completely covering or just around your hook bait. Right, just going to run you through the setup that did me the bite using solid bags. I'm just fishing a little homemade fish meal pop-up in the bag over some pellet and some chopped fish meal boilies. I've attached the pop-up using a little 360 bait screw to just give it a bit of extra movement. It is your typical solid bag, supple rig, so it's nice and supple and it can not get tangled up in the bag, fold over. But what I have done is I have left some of the coating on. I've whipped the knotless knot with the coating on and come about 15 to 20 mil out of the eye with the coating on and left that on. That's just creating a bit of a hinge really to sort of get yourself a little pop-up section like that. Also, you might notice I've got a stiff D on there. Now to create that, all I've done was, as I've whipped the knotless knot, I've just cut a small section of chodling, poked that up underneath the whipping and just whipped it in place, folded it back over and blobbed it. Nice and simple. Just aids that blowback in effect and gets that bait right out the way when the fish is hooked. I've just got a little blob of putty there to balance the pop-up, just so that sits down just slightly overweighted, so the pop-up will just pop up out of the contents of the bag. Obviously the supple section leads you down to a nice 3-ounce lead, nice and heavy, really set the hook, and then that is all on a lead-free leader, nice and simple. To tie the bag, I've already added a few pellets in there just to get us going. I always put a bit of pellet in the bottom. The pop-up then goes into the bag. Get that nicely into the corner of the bag. I'll drop the lead in at this point. Get that down there like that, into that side. Then add a bit more pellet. Alright, so you've got roughly a third of the bag full with pellet. Now what that does is that's mask the hook. None of that pellet can get hooked on the hook point, and that just stops any of the chops of the boilie chops that I'm going to put into the bag hooking on the hook point. So tap that down a bit in there. Now add some chops. These chops have been through the cutter and so they're into halves, but then what I have done is I put some of the halves through again, and that's just broken them into quarters, and that will just leak out a bit more of attraction a bit quicker and just give some different sizes within the bag. So I've got a layer of boilie chop in there, and then a few more pellets, and just nestle the lead up. As I'm not casting too far, I can get away with the chops and then creating that little bit of air pocket in there. Also the lead, bringing the lead up, all I'm doing is just trying to straighten out that hook link a little bit more. Now if I was casting long distance, obviously you might want the lead further down in the bag just to give you that extra distance on your casts. So that so far looks like that. And what I do is I'll just sprinkle a couple more chops in there actually onto the top, just some smaller pieces, and then one more layer of pellet. As so. Then nestle that in the top of the bag there, lovely. Right, you see the leader's poking out the top of the bag and you've got the tail from the lead there. So what I want to do is pinch around the tail of the lead with the solid bag, push that down in my hands like that, just to compact the bag, and give it a twist. 2 twists like that. You see it sort of inflates with the air. So what I do is I hold the top of the bag and just release that a bit, another twist, release that a bit. It just compacts that bag a bit more. So that's there. To secure the bag, you can lick it and stick it. I prefer to use PVA tape, I just find it a lot easier. I can do it quicker. Go around 3 or 4 times, like so. Secure the tags, and it's nice and simple. Is just do an overhand knot. And another one. There you go. With the tag ends, grab your scissors, trim them off. There you go, that's good. So you've got this little tag here now. What you want to do is get rid of that. You want to neaten the bag up. All I do is just literally trim around there, pull that off. Be careful not to cut the leader at this point, because that will be a disaster and you'll have to start all over again, leader and all. So there you go, see that's all trimmed off. Tag of the lead coming out the top of the bag, straight onto the leader. Even though I'm not casting far, I will still tuck the corners in, just give them a little shake, and just lick the corners, stick them down. Then this is the hook bait corner, so just nestle that, little lick, stick that down. There you go. Right, just to help the bag sink, just want to get your baiting needle, just poke a few holes in it. It just lets the water in quicker, especially the water's still a little bit cold at the minute. Just help that to melt. And that is it, little solid bag setup. I have put a few chops around it just to get a bit of scent into the area, and then that being the middle prize. That lovely £25 common slipped up on it. Right, just going to talk a little bit about the PVA itself. Here, just got a fine stick, so that's 25mm. That's ideal for stick mixes and really small thin bags. They can be threaded down the hook links themselves and the hook pulled into the end of them, if that's the sort of thing you want to do. Also, you've got 35mm, which is like a medium size mesh, and that's what I use for most of my fishing. Just make nice little bags just to nick on, and it just provides that bit of attraction directly around the hook bait. You can use all manner of baits in PVA mesh, from pellets, boilies, maggots, particles, providing that you check that they're PVA friendly, because anything water based will melt the PVA. It's fine with oils, you can dip it in oils, you can put oils in the mixes that you put in. Yeah, just make sure things are PVA friendly so that you're not going to cast out and the bag's falling in a heap on the floor behind you. Regarding both of them, especially with stick mixes, people do like to make nice oily sticks, and they really can boost the attraction. Obviously, check the oil for the time of year. In the summer months, most oils are fine, but in the winter you just need to be a bit careful that the oil will actually break down and not solidify in the water. But I couldn't recommend getting on PVA meshes anymore. It's just a great little way for that bit of extra attraction. Right, just had this one, £17.5, using the mesh bags. Just using maggots in the bags and maggots on the hair. And we've had this lovely little one. Happy days. In the morning we'll have a little look at exactly what I was using and how I tied the bag up. As you've seen, I had a £17.5 common last night using PVA mesh bag tactics, using maggots on the hair and in the bags. Let's have a look at what my setup was, my lead setup, my rig, how I go about threading the maggots and making the mesh bag. So here I've got a 2-ounce flat pair lead, a little heady sleeve, a little size 11 helicopter swivel and a top bead on some silicone, all on a leader. And the joy of this is, depending on the lake bed you're fishing over, you can just simply push that top bead up a bit further if you think it's softer. If you're feeling a harder drop, you can put it almost right down next to the heady sleeve, and then it will react even faster. Also, while I'm on the leader, the top bead will slide off. So if a fish gets snagged, that will just pop off and the rig can go up with it. Now looking at the rig, it's Ronnie rig style. I've done that so I can change the hook quickly if I was to get multiple bites. It just makes things a lot easier, a lot faster, just to change the hook over, fresh sharp hook on there, and it gets straight back out. I've got a piece of pop-up corn there, and that is mounted on a piece of braid, soft braid, with a rig ring at either end. Now this top rig ring here, that is going to be what I tie the maggots to. So this will create a nice wafter presentation when the maggots go onto it. And I've just got simply a Deception size 6 crank hook, nice little hook link that's about 6 inches long, and a tungsten anti-tangle sleeve. When I go about threading the maggots on, just have a sewing needle and a length of bait floss, and that's just doubled over through the eye of the needle, as you can see there. And I just need to thread one more maggot on there to complete that. I'm using 10 at the minute, no particular reason, it's just balancing that corn out lovely. So what I do, thread that maggot on, pull it down over the doubled up section, down into the bunch. You can then take the bait floss out of the needle, then that threads through that top ring on the rig. So you just thread that through, that you can slide that then down there in the bunch. Simply do just 2 overhand knots, so you do 1 and then the second, just being careful not to squash the maggots too much. So you got 2 nice overhand knots, trim the tag ends, and that is the hook bait section all done. That is the finished rig. Now, this is what I've been using, a PVA mesh bag with a little tag end, and I'll just show you how to tie that now. So I've just got some Castaway 35mm mesh. Simply get my maggots, and I'm doing 5 pinches of maggots into the mesh. That creates a nice little bag there. So you just let that come through. Give yourself a bit of length there to play with. Don't push it down, but don't push it too tight. Obviously, if the maggots are to pop, they will melt the PVA. So you just want to give that a little twist there, just gently. Overhand knot, and back down to the top of the bag. And then tie another knot so the mesh tube is ready to go again, but this time just give yourself a bit of length. Tie that knot with a bit of a tag end on the bag, so then you can cut that right near that top knot there. Then that tag end has a purpose, and that purely is so I can nick it on the hook there, wrap that round with the hair and put it back, and what that does is that will stop that hair from being able to tangle on the cast, and that will just go out there just lovely. And that is what I had to buy it on. Mesh bags are best used with a leg clip or a helicopter setup. This is purely because you have to hook the mesh bag on. Likewise, you can thread it down the hook link and mask the hook. Whereas a solid bag, you're encapsulating the rig and the lead within the bag, and that just leaves you with a small parcel of bait completely hiding your rig and your lead, and that just literally leaves your mainline or leader coming out of the bag. Bait wise, both methods can hold a range of baits from pellets to boilies or even particles. You just need to make sure anything that goes in the bag is PVA friendly so it doesn't melt the bag whilst you're making it. It's the most frustrating thing when you're halfway through making a bag, it melts and the contents just pour out all over your lap. This is especially true for liquids. However, oils can be a great addition to a bag, especially in the warmer months. They send food signals through the layers, and this can help pull fish down from the upper layers or mid layers down to the bottom and hone in on your hook bait. I hope that's given you a good insight into how effective both mesh bags and solid bags can be. Hopefully you can take away some of this, put it into your own fishing, and then hopefully land a few extra fish throughout the season.